Hello and welcome to Extraordinary Women in Tech Diamond Interviews, celebrating bold women reshaping technology and society. Today, we're joined by Nishtha Jain, a strategic, impactful, and driven leader in AI, biopharma, and digital health. And an MIT graduate, TEDx speaker, and award-winning visionary, Nishtha drives innovation across the pharmaceutical value chain while building inclusive teams and human-centered technology. Her story is one of the courage, vision, and purpose. Today, we explore her journey, insight on AI and healthcare, and her vision for the future in tech. Hi, Nishtha.
Hi, Ileana. How are you doing?
I'm great. It's so good to see you again, and I'm so excited to hear about your story. Warm-up question. You've built an incredible career in the intersection of AI, biopharma, and digital health. But before we dive into the leadership journey, what originally sparked your curiosity and passion for blending medicine and technology?
Absolutely. I started my career actually as a software engineer at Accenture. I did an engineering in biotechnology. I initially only saw technology mainly as a tool to make processes faster, to cut costs, to organize information. And it was mostly through coding, in the back end and how you can create things in the front end. Then I pursued master's in biotechnology and I moved to the United States and I went to Georgetown University. And that's where I learned more about what was happening in the cutting edge science and technology fields and how both science technology can come together. But it was not until when I worked for an EHR health technology company in my early career that I was able to see firsthand how technology could move beyond back-end efficiency and actually transform how patients are receiving the care. So what struck me wasn't the efficiency of technology, but it was the humanity element. Witnessing how these digital platforms enabled real-time health data sharing made me realize the human impact technology was having on improving experiences, outcomes, and even impacting patients' lives, so saving their lives in a way. And that's when I realized technology isn't just a tool. When designed with empathy and the right way, it can transform not only health outcomes, but the very experience of being a patient. And that realization essentially fuels me to sort of pursue this career, which is blend of, technology and medicine and sciences and how it can impact patients' lives.
Amazing, Nishtha, amazing. And you know what I'm hearing is a female side of leadership in pharma and healthcare where you actually really think about people's opinions and human-centric approach. And in your 15 years across pharma and tech, you've led digital transformation at global scale, right? What do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges for women leaders in really driving innovation of the edge of science and technology?
Yeah, so I would break it down maybe in biggest opportunities, challenges, and then how can, we get ready. So I think biggest opportunities that I have seen is definitely, that for women to actually accelerate their career, I definitely thinking about building thought leadership is really important, and actually shaping the industry conversations are some of the powerful ways that women can establish themselves, create that visibility, and position themselves as innovation expert. So that's number one. The other opportunity that I see very big for women leaders is leveraging their networks, because not many men have these kind of networks, but women do have networks, EWiT being one of them, and several others. So becoming part of external communities and also internal networks at most of the big companies have ERG networks. They have resource group where you can become part of them. So I think that's the other piece. And then providing mentorship, partnership, and advocacy, and helping other women to rise. So it's like women are shaping the culture of innovation, not just, they are becoming part of this. And then thirdly, advocating for leading inclusion, where women leaders actually are the ones always driving the agenda for DE&I at workplace. So I think, the opportunities expand not only for themselves, but for sort of the legacy that they are creating in the companies. So those are some of the opportunities that, women, I have seen women at these companies have, but then it doesn't come easy. It comes with a lot of challenges. And, I want to dive into maybe three of them, where the first challenge is underrepresentation of women at senior levels. So, despite of so many advances, women, and especially Asian minority women remain still underrepresented at that top executive and board level positions. Barriers include unconscious bias, limited access to senior sponsors, and slower promotion rates. So that's all, in a mix, doesn't help women leaders at all versus their male counterpart, even if they are only checking 2 boxes out of 10 would get better opportunities, and they are able to create sponsors through various events where they like if you have a male boss and you also like to golf, they also like to golf, or you play a sport that they play, you can network better and create sponsors that way. So number one is underrepresentation. Number two is, which I actually earlier emphasized, is the visibility and brand building. So for women, just doing excellent work alone, it's not going to get them where they want to go. They have to proactively build their brand, where they have to, I think, seeking out becoming part of these networks, or building, or thought leadership opportunities, or joining boards, and showcasing their expertise is what gains them recognition and influence. Because if they just work heads down, there is no way they will be seen. And women are known not to communicate or actually self-promote. So they lack that, that's a big disadvantage women have got. So that's the second challenge. And thirdly, I know we were talking about this just before the podcast, is the work-life integration and well-being. So it tends to be that women also ends up being the care provider at home for their children. So women with children, if a children is sick, it's going to be the women who likely, in 90% of the situations, I'm not saying for everyone, will take their time off or day off or and take the child to the doctor. So, but the man would still get, the upper hand in going to the office and showing up. So I think balancing that with the operational demands and personal well-being, and also women with children sometimes end up neglecting their personal health. So I think it's then it becomes very important for a woman to integrate, to find that balance. So building mental resilience, continuing to learn, and self-care, these become then foundation of leadership success. Because there is, I've seen, as the growth trajectory, there is a point when women have children and then they are not growing anymore, but their male counterparts continue to grow. So I think those are some of the challenges that I see. So again, I'm happy to share some strategies here that could help in overcoming the challenges, but that's what I have seen across my career.
Yeah, and I agree. I hear a lot about those 3 points. And if you look into your background, right, if you can remember what really pushed you to the next level, was it mentorship? Was it those teams that you were building, inclusive teams? Or maybe you had a male ally or a female leader that really gave you some kind of push and took you to the next level? What was your personal journey to help you really succeed into this next step and next level of your career?
I mean, I want to help the audience here to maybe talk about, just break down how mentorship is different from sponsorship and how it's different from coaching. So throughout my personal career, I actually had all three in different ways, where, a mentor is a person who basically will be your, sounding board, where you can go to them and they actually tell you exactly the steps to take to navigate certain situation. So that's mentor. Then there is a coach who actually says, okay, you know what, I'm not going to tell you the answers, but I'm going to help you see your own blind spots and help you think differently. So there have been points in my journey where these coaches really helped. And then there is a third person, which is actually super important, is a sponsor. And sponsor is the person who speaks on your behalf when you are not in the room. And that is what most of us, lack. And that's the one that's the most difficult to build and is absolutely needed when it talks to, moving the career ladder. Now, in my journey, I actively sought and joined employee resource groups that I talked about at all my companies, all the gender parity networks and diversity forums. So I was not only attending the events for these forums, but I actually took active role and I stepped into the board and leadership roles in these initiatives where it was sometimes from organizing event to creating a strategy. So I was, member of Women Leadership Initiative at GSK, Women Innovation Network at Biogen, and now Gender Parity Network at Takeda, where I had privilege to influence, company strategy as to how they want to run their DE&I program. So I definitely think that was a major contributor. Now, I've also been very big advocate of building the brand. So beyond the company walls, I've actually served on boards of organizations like HBA, which is Healthcare Business Women Association. It's a global nonprofit organization for people in healthcare and pharma industry. And also I'm a member of Chief Network, which is, the network in the US where it's all the senior level women who are discussing their challenges and they come together and seek that community. So these platforms let me, help me meeting some amazing female mentors and help me grow, not only professionally, but personally as well. So I think mentorship is definitely a core part of my philosophy. And I also intentionally, mentor emerging leaders within organization. And I think I would say for anyone to actively seek out mentorship opportunities, sponsorship opportunities, and coaching if your company provides it. I know sometimes coaching is not something everybody can afford, but I definitely think everybody should at least give it a try once, because I think once you see the difference between all of these things, you'll see that it's the blend of all that helps you grow, and it's not one thing that can work for everybody. So I think it's all of these different things.
For sure. And it sounds like in your career, you actually tried everything to really use the female network and female part and female leadership side of yours to empower others, empower yourself, and also be in action. Sometimes we shy away from seeking mentors and asking for help and asking for coaching help. Question for you about allies. I think we didn't touch on it enough, because I think if we have allies that really sees that the diversity is so important in the team, and finding a sponsor ally, or at least someone who sees something very special in you. Do you feel that we don't have enough allies, or we need to educate our male counterparts how to really promote and empower women on their teams?
Yeah. So I think one of the things I definitely see that allies can do is, and it's not even being like formally, no, you don't have to be saying that I'm the ally, but suppose you are a team leader and you have team of 5 people, and one of them turns out to be a women leader who doesn't speak in the meeting. So I think how one can be ally to you is that even in the meetings, creating space for that person to say, hey, okay, I think how about we give her the option to speak? Or I think this X person might have a great idea. So let her, creating that small spaces, that's one way of, becoming an ally. But then I think finding ally, I think what I personally think is when, even if when you are working, you have a stakeholder who recognizes your work. Suppose you are working on a project and there was a male counterpart or someone who really, really appreciated your work. And they were, they became your fan, in a way where you are working so hard and your work speaks for itself. I think that person can be your ally, for example. So if you saw that they were already seeing your work and, acknowledging your efforts, I think that's the opportunity to maybe go back and say, hey, you know what, can I talk to you, or can we have a coffee chat, or is there an opportunity for you to mentor me? So I think that's another way of actively seeking out allyship. So, like if you are in your team, I think there is a way of creating allyship, and then there is a way of seeking allyship. So that's something to be very, I think it's part of the work development journey. So I think I totally I'm aligned with you on very importance of allies in any female journey. And again, if it's male ally, great, but it can also be female allies.
Yeah, for sure. I think without male allies and allies in general, I think women in particular in tech will be so far behind, even where we are today. Maybe 50% of women that we ask today, that they had probably male allies that pushed them to the next level. And I hope it's going to be changing more towards women supporting women and really have a better percentage. I wanted to talk about something else. Your TED Talk was really inspiring about digital drug. We always talk about how to balance between really embracing technology and AI and using AI for everything, right? And having a personal assistant and things like that. But I think you had a really interesting perspective on how to really balance and what really means to still keep your human side and really embrace the technology. Can you elaborate on that and give us more of an advice or idea how to really stay balanced in this tech revolution?
Sure. Yeah. So, Liana, I think one of the advantages that I had is I'm a millennial. So growing up, I never had technology. Or I had very limited technology. So as a kid, this would be my first 8 years at least, which is the most crucial time when a child is developing, is I only had 1 hour a week of internet access, and that too at a cyber cafe, where my mom, only gave me that if I had gotten the best grades the whole week, or behaved myself or did the things she wanted. And then also the other piece to it was every day I was asked to go and play with the children outside. So there was like an hour or two where I was supposed to be out of the house, and my mom said, you are not. Like, she would just lock it down, and she'd say, I don't know, you do whatever, figure it out, play with yourself, just be out on the streets, I don't care. So I think what's happening now is that the children who are growing up, first of all, they have exposure to the technology at a very early age, like babies. Like, I've heard from some of my friends who have children, is that at a very early age, the baby can like navigate, I would not say baby, but like when they are growing up, they because they're growing up with screens, they're able to navigate it very fast, and they really like the screen because that's how it's created. It's very attractive. That's number one. Number two is, as the kid is growing, they are actually not going out because they're spending, like, as they're getting bored, they're spending time on devices. So there is no social thread or any sort of regulation or somebody telling them go and play outside. So in my talk, I think that was the basis of how how I came to even thinking about that talk. Now, the parallel between digital well-being and broader technology leadership is that I think leaders must look beyond what tools can do, and focus deeply on why they are building the tools, because I think then that's when it comes to more mindful tech and the technology which would not need the safety label. So if it's designed thinking of of humans in mind and of being an advocate or an ally to a human, then it would not need that. But essentially what so responsible technology to means challenging the illusion that constant connectivity is human connection. No, it is not. Recognizing that innovation is about people, empathy, and bringing them together, and not just about, say, okay, I have now next this ChatGPT 5 or ChatGPT 5.0, and then embedding the design thinking principles, which is based on society, psychology, and ethics into how that's being created. So I think the moment of clearly labeling social medias, I think leaders and leaders in technology need to step up, and they need to build the technology in that sense. Now, what I spoke in my TED talk about the framework, which is pause framework, is how do you find that right balance? So let's agree. Now, technology is not made for our favor. It is actually made to hack our dopamine. It's made to keep us longer on the screens. It's not in favor of our physical, mental, or even our emotional well-being. It's actually acting against all of that. Now, that's happening. Now, what can we do? So, what I share in my TED Talk is a framework called as Pause Framework, where I urge people to actually think of mindful technology use. So, where P stands for practicing mindful tech use, A stands for awareness and accountability, U stands for understanding the design and how technology is designed. Stands for setting the boundaries of how you access the technology, and E is actually embracing real connections. So in nutshell, how the framework works is that when I set intentional pauses in my day where I'm not accessing technology, whether it be when I'm having dinner or before going to bed or after waking up. I keep those zones phone free completely. The other is, going out for a walk or working out. When I'm doing that, I'm making sure that my phone is not in the way. The other, one of the aspects of it is also trying to meet socially more in person than digitally. So if you are meeting somebody in person, maybe don't take your phone with you. How about I keep the phone in my purse, and when I'm talking to you, I'm fully present. So I think it's these small shifts people can make that can really help them in finding their balance with the technology and using technology to be your partner and to be your enhancer rather than the other way around. So it's a very, very I think personalized approach people can take. And I do want to share, after my talk, there was a person who came to me and said to me, it's easier for you to say this, but I work in social media and I'm a PR person. So my job is managing people's social media accounts and monitoring the activity. So now how do I find my balance? So I told her, I was like, for you, it might be actually the time in nature. So when you are going for a walk or spending time in nature, you are completely off the grid. Or for her, the time might be when she's driving to work or from work, where she's not constantly on her phone and actually focused on the road. So I think it's finding that right balance and right spaces for people to limit their technology use. And boredom is okay. So, because I have grown up in that time where there was no technology, we used to get bored a lot, which is totally fine because, boredom are the ground for breeding creativity. So it's totally okay to get bored and, not actually check your phone when you have that pause moment. Let it be.
I love it. There's so many great ideas that you're sharing with us. Thank you. I feel like pausing is important in a different way that you explained. And especially for technology leader who really leads about an innovation in technologies and forefront of your leadership, you also have time and you need to find time to pause and really find space for balance and human creativity, I guess, and finding allies and also finding coaches and mentors and being a speaker. And I'm really excited to share your story. I hope people will start being in action for their own lives, creating their brand and really being out there, because otherwise nobody will really know about their voice and brand and importance of their story.
Yes, definitely, Uliana. And only one thing I just want to leave everybody with is that as AI is evolving super fast, I think the most important thing is to cultivate the continuous learning mindset, because what is happening is every few months, what we have learned, the technology is evolving faster at a pace we cannot even imagine. So what prompts worked for me 6 months ago, those prompts are not going to work for me in the next 6 months. So I think even the prompting part is changing so fast. So I think my only thing for the women who are listening to this conversation would be that we gotta build that learning mindset. And if today you are strained on time and you cannot build it, maybe start very small, maybe 5 minutes of learning every day. Or you can say, I want to listen to this chat, but I don't have full 20, 30 minutes. So maybe listen to 5 minutes of our conversation today and then build from there. Because I think if we do not disrupt, we will be disrupted. So I think that's one thing I just want to leave everyone with.
That's so true. I love it. I love it. And I feel continuous learning is so important, but also finding the right tools, where to find the right training. So I would love to spend some time maybe later on a podcast where interviewing women that found the right tools and right links to take that right test, training, because there's so much out there and I don't know if it's the latest or you're getting the latest information. So I definitely want to spend some time on that later. But Nishtha, thank you so much for joining. What an inspiring conversation. So many great things that you shared. I hope that our listeners will get something, one or two things out of it and start being in action. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Uliana. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm so grateful to be able to share some of my thoughts here. And thank you for all the great work that you are doing by building this community.
Thank you. Thank you so much.